commits murder will be subject to judgment. So Yeshua was very respectful of Torah. And he wanted to put a fence around that commandment. That tells us that there was a problem with murder. You know, in Judaism it is taught that they lost the country because of hatred towards each other, because there was no love. People were constantly fighting. That's something that's taught, you know. So he said, he wanted to put a fence around it. So he said, I tell you, anyone who, I'm reading from the complete Jewish Bible, anyone who nurses anger against his brother will be subject to judgment. He knows that killing doesn't start with the action of killing. It starts way before with a feeling of resentment. So he says, stop it right there. He was not changing the Torah. He was not changing it. He was actually teaching us a system that he agreed with, because he was teaching us how not to break Torah. Oh, he was not saying the commandment is not good, now I'm giving you a new commandment because God doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, he was actually showing such a higher respect for that command. You know, I mean, you kill somebody, you kill a whole universe. You know, so he was really, that was, you know, Yeshua was sinless. Well, that's how he seemed to have approached the commandments. That's how he approached them. He stayed as far away as possible as he could. It's like one time I heard a story about it's a true story, about a man. He was a rich man, and he needed a driver, a chauffeur. And, you know, especially in bad economy, oh, I can drive, you know, you put your life in the hands of that person, you know, so he gave them a test. And this man lived by the mountains. And you know mountain roads. You know, I don't know if you know Redland Road, for example. You know, it's like, you know, there is no guard on this side, you know. What if you rode like that here? You know, so, and the test that he gave them was to drive safely as close to the edge as possible. Safely. To drive safely as close to the edge as possible. So, teens, this is a driving, you guys you have some teens that's starting to drive. Okay. You're going to know how to drive safely close to the edge of a road, of the ravine. And each driver went, you know, like sometimes half the tire off the road, you know. They thought that the guy wanted to know how good they could drive in a difficult situation. Then came up one guy, and he drove as far as possible from the edge as he could. Because any closer was too close. He's the one who got the job. You know? Because safely he's as far as possible. And this is the same with sin, which is breaking the commandment. We got to stay as far away as breaking the commandment as possible. Not in a spirit of paranoia. It's not a thing of paranoia, fear of hell, or no. It's about love. It's all about love. I love my wife. I don't want to displease her. I don't always succeed.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, and I see also the other example would be, you know, adultery.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, he did the same thing.
Yeah, it did the same thing. It even looks on a woman lustfully, but at the time by the time you had 500 AD, you had them returning from Babylon, and then they started building these fences around the law. But by the time you get 500 years later, you get to Christ, and Yeshua was here, it had gotten out of hand.
Yeah, because now, by that time, some people had fences around the fences. You know?
Right.
It's like it gets too much. You know, in the end, what happened, and this is where we got a very good question, by the way. this is what we've got. This is what we are responsible, each one of us, to know the word, to recognize the word or offense. Because what happened in the end is that some started teaching the fence as the commandment. You know, and that doesn't work. That becomes wrong. Because then we teach the fence as the commandment. And the commandment makes sense. The fence doesn't. So